What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today, I am joined by Stefan of the band Devine Defilement, coming out of Reykjavik, Iceland. And man, this is a good conversation, man. We get to learn a little bit about the Icelandic scene. We get to learn a little bit about Devine Defilement, man. And if you haven't heard those guys, man, you should definitely check those guys out, man. And this is just a great way to start my year off, man. I was really hoping to connect with someone from a place that I'm not familiar with, you know. And me and Stefan had some conversations. He reached out to me and let me know he was a huge fan of the show, and I greatly appreciated it. He showed me a few bands, that I think really kick ass, man. And like I said, this is a great episode, learning a little bit about another place that I've never been to and hope to visit one day, man. It sounds like a pretty interesting place. But before we get started, man, if you'd like to be a guest or you have any show ideas, reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram at Blue Presents a Podcast and at Twitter, Podcast of Blue. But before we get started, man, listen to my boy, AJ Pelletier, tell you why you should be listening to the Roads We Travel podcast.
Hey everyone, AJ Pelletier here, and I'm here to talk to you about my podcast, The Roads We've Traveled. It's a podcast where every week I talk to guests and friends from music, art, comedy, and more about their journeys through life, their struggles, their joys, and everything in between. You also get to know a little bit more about me and my journey as well. So if you like podcasts about good conversations about life, or maybe you're just looking to relate to somebody about some things you may be going through as well, then The Roads We've Traveled is the podcast for you. Subscribe to us today on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. Check us out and subscribe to us on YouTube. And check us out at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled podcast. All right, everyone. Thanks.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Blue Presents a podcast where I discuss all things music and how it affects my life. And today, I am joined by a friend from overseas, Stefan from the Icelandic band Devine Defilement. What's going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing quite fabulous, to be honest.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you jumping on. You were my first international guest, so I'm very, very excited about this, man. So I'm going to start you off like I start everybody else. What are your top five artists
Like all time or at this moment?
at this moment, all time, whatever you want to do, man?
Okay, I will have to put, Black Dahlia in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then Slipknot. Let's go with Ingested as well.
Mm-hmm.
Stillbirth and shit. Shout out to my homeboys Un Miser.
Okay. Yeah, you put me onto those guys. Me and Stefan had a conversation a while back, and he kind of put me onto some bands that I wasn't really checking out. The one that I really enjoyed that you sent me was Cult of Lilith, man. Those guys are so epic and so grand, and I saw their music video and they're dressed so well. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
So because you're my first international guest, and as always, I like to think that, on my show, I like to try to educate people about different scenes, man. And this is a chance to talk about a scene that I don't know if people know a lot about. So what is the Icelandic scene like?
It's really strong, to be honest, but you can't really, like divide it up between genres as much as they do in like Germany or places like that. So like, for example, for our last release show, we had like a 1-man 8-bit punk band playing, as well as a stoner rock band and a trap rapper,
Trap.
So it's kind of mixed bag, but everybody gets along and we try to, make a diverse show.
Yeah, man, it sounds really interesting. That's I've seen that before. I've seen it. I was living in Florida for about 12 years, and you can go to a show and see a hardcore band, a pop punk band, and a rapper all on the same show.
Yeah, I think it's pretty awesome just bringing, taking everybody out of their comfort zone,
Exactly. And it makes for an entertaining show because you're just getting a good mixture of everything.
Right.
It's like a good soup, different ingredients, you put it together and it comes out amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, man, the purpose of my show, man, as always, is to talk about the journey into music, man. And, being from a different country, I don't want to harp on that too much, but like I said, I know nothing of Icelandic culture. You put me onto some bands, man, and I appreciate it, man. So let's talk about it. How did it start for you? What made you decide, hey, man, beating on the skins is what I want to do?
Well, I'm pretty, hyperactive, or I used to be. So I kind of had the choice either just to take, some meds to glue me to the floor or actually do something. Mm-hmm. So I started playing drums and it just rapidly went down. So yeah, that's basically it. I just was really hyperactive and I needed an outlet.
Oh man, I mean, hey, there's something to do right there, man. You definitely, I've seen several videos, man. You definitely, you got a lot going on, man, for real. Yeah. So, now, like, we've already talked about, a little bit of kind of what like the Icelandic scene is and like that, let's talk about where you guys are in Iceland. You guys are in the capital city. And if I mess this up, I apologize. Reykjavik.
That's good enough.
All right, Reykjavik, Iceland. Talk about how the area inspires your guys' sound.
Like a lot of bands here in Iceland really go for, it's kind of pretentious, saying, oh, it's always so dark and we're so depressed. But I don't really think that affects us that much. Like, it's just same shit, different day for us. Mm-hmm. Like, we write our music in our underpants in a fucking straight to a computer. It's nothing marvelous there. But I mean, it probably has some effects on us. Mm-hmm. But we haven't really, lived outside of Iceland to an extent that we're not used to this shit,
I love the perspective, man. That's kind of cool because it's just like it's almost like a job. You're going to the same thing over and over again. It is what it is, man. We're living through it. And with that being said, how's COVID affecting your area right now?
Well, in the beginning, it wasn't so bad. Like, everything went kind of into lockdown in March, I think. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. We managed to do a release show Then when the first wave came, everything was closed. So we couldn't do anything until like July when we did 2 shows. Then we went into full lockdown again. Then it opened up for like a week, and we managed to play a show with Cult of Lilith. And yeah, here we are.
Again,
third wave, just chilling.
I mean, you seem to have like a pretty cool demeanor about that. So in talking with that, before the pandemic hit, or right around when the pandemic hit, it seemed like you guys dropped your EP Primitive Gospel. And then during that, you guys dropped the single Pus Covered. So talk about how you guys released something before the pandemic and you guys released something during the pandemic. How do you feel like the reception was different because of that?
Not really. Like after our full-length album, we just kind of decided that we're not gonna, try and hunt for any label. So we're just totally independent right now. So our plan was just to do an EP and another one for next year. But we did the EP. When the pandemic hit, we started writing like crazy. So we have a shit ton of songs ready. So we're just rather just keep pumping them out than doing that full length. Doesn't really make sense to us.
Yeah, no, and I think that right now, especially, everybody's trying to find an interesting way to release music during this really difficult time. Do you guys feel like it's a little bit easier having to be able to just say, here it is, enjoy it, tell us what you think, kind of deal? Or would you much rather? I mean, I'm sure everybody would much rather be in front of a crowd right now playing these brand new songs you guys got.
Well, of course, we would love to do that, but like we look at it, that focusing on a single song is better than having like 10 tracks to focus on. We can put more effort in just one song, even though, if I say it for myself, I don't think that we put a lot of effort in it. We're just like writing shit in our underpants. Like, it's nothing marvelous. We just harvest riffs and glue them all together.
No, man. And that's crazy to say, because I've read some reviews of the Primitive Gospel, as well as I've listened to it myself. And the one thing that everybody says is some of the best production that they've ever heard for a death metal band, man. Is that something you guys seeked for the sound, or is that just the producer you were working with that kind of gave you that really great sound?
Well, if we go back to our first record, it was a total shit show getting that album together. I'll have to admit, that's a whole other story. But for the Primitive Gospel, we decided we wouldn't want to, spread our wings too far. So, like, most of the production, we did it at home. Then we got our buddy Haukur that does the mixing and mastering to do it, and he's been working with a lot of these Icelandic black metal pandas. So, and he really likes death metal and deathcore. So for him, this was a breath of fresh air. So he really just went all out on the mix and made it sound great. And he did our Pus Covered and our upcoming singles. So he's here to stay.
Yeah, no, I mean, especially something I definitely harp on this show, man. If you don't have a good producer, you don't have somebody who sees your vision, you're not going to get that good quality. You're not going to get that great sound. And it translates in other languages and other lands as well, too, man. That you need that someone to really bring you forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that being said, man, and I saw that your guys posted your Spotify statistics, which I thought was very interesting, man. You guys were listened to in over 82 countries. Tell me, how does
insane.
I was gonna say, how does that feel, man? How does that feel to know that just not people in where you're from rock with you, but people across other countries think you guys kick ass?
I mean, I did not expect it to go that far. I'm pretty proud of it because we're unsigned, we're independent, so it's it's a great feeling getting to that many countries and years. It's great.
No, yeah, I feel the same way. When I got to the end of the year of my podcast statistics, it said that I was listened to in 8 countries, and I'm over here like, woo, it just, it's different. It's cool to know that other people from other places think you have a voice and have something to say. So I think
the States are fucking huge, man. I mean, how many people are there? Like 400 million, right?
Oh yeah. Oh man, some of these shows, it's absolutely crazy. I don't have nearly the production quality that some of these shows, but I think the conversations that we're having, I think, are more important to me in talking about music and talking about what brings us all together. So
yeah,
that being said, man, that's a conversation that we both can have here. What is it about metal and music in general that kind of brings us together, you being from another country, me being from another country?
I don't know. I mean, I think that most people that really, live and breathe extreme music are, kind of outcasts, but not really. So, I mean, we all have that in common, that we like something that's pretty niche. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a small scene, I guess, but not really.
No.
It's really easy to connect, if you just have the same appreciation for the same kind of music.
Yeah, man. And that's really like just so spectacular. And once again, another thing that makes me love this music, especially the extreme side, the heavy side, the light side of it all. We just kind of come together, and here on this show, I feel awesome in bringing someone from another country, and hopefully some more Americans can get on, Divine Defilement and find out what I've found out, which is you guys kick a whole lot of ass,
Thank you so much.
And all it took was just a couple of messages between me and you just talking and stuff like that, which is awesome. So I want to kind of go off the cuff here, man, because I was like deep diving into your Instagrams and stuff like that, not just yours, but the band's. So what's up with you guys and Steve Buscemi and the Reface app?
So, I mean, we don't really have a PR agent right now. So
okay.
we thought it was pretty funny. I just put it on our band's, chat, and we were like, okay, we need some promo material. I got this Reface app and we can do whatever we want. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, cool. You want to use our faces? No, not really. Any suggestions? Steve Buscemi. So, I mean, we just went with it, He's a gloriously disgusting man, so I think that he fits quite well for Pus Covered.
Oh my god, that's hilarious! Because like I saw it and I was just like, at first I kind of didn't get it, and then it took me a couple of videos to actually know. I was like, holy shit, it's Steve Buscemi, and that's hilarious because he just, I guess by certain standards, people would find him just kind of hideous, but it's whatever, man. Different strokes, different folks, man. Everybody finds beauty in different things, but it worked for you guys, and I thought it was hilarious. And I was just like, I gotta ask about this because I'm that type of person that, like, when I research for these shows, I want to know about you. And I saw it, I was like, this has got to be an inside joke. This has got to be something good.
Like for our next single, we were actually just talking about who we're gonna bring in next. I think we settled on Danny DeVito, but we'll just have to see how it comes out.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So, I've seen a couple of your live streams where you guys are still practicing. You're still going pretty hard, which is really awesome, and it sounds like you guys have something in the works, man. You want to talk a little bit about what you guys having coming through the pipeline coming up next?
Well, we got this one song that was, it was a difficult birth, to be honest. Like we just sat around in our underpants and we were talking about writing like a pure slam song, but of course it didn't turn out that way. And we were actually supposed to be in Russia last September, so we were like thinking, okay, we could write a song for Russia. So we found this creature called Chernobog, and we were like, okay, there's practically nothing about him. He's the bad guy in Fantasia, I think, the fucking Disney sing-along movie.
Yeah,
you can't pay me to watch that shit, but
you can't pay me to watch it. That's awesome.
But so it was a difficult birth, but when it came along and we had laid on the vocal tracks, we were like, oh shit, this is way too hard for Ingo to push through. So we got 2 guest vocalists on it, Josh from Defeated Sanity and Lucas from Stillbirth. And I don't know. It was supposed to be so cool because we were gonna release it like last May or April, because Ingo and I are kind of running the Reykjavik Death Fest,
Mhm.
and both Defeated Sanity and Still were supposed to play,
Mhm.
and we are gonna debut the song live there. But of course,
Yeah, the world
the
went to shit.
our drunk uncle Corona came and threw up on everybody.
Yeah, man. I saw that some of like you guys, it seemed like you guys had quite a bit of touring lined up for that.
Yeah,
Hopefully after this settles down, and depending on who you're talking to, you hear a lot of different things on
yeah,
vaccine this and vaccine that. You guys, I'm hoping that you guys are still hoping to make up some of those dates and come through and play some of those places you were going to play. I saw you guys had some stops in Italy, some stops in Russia, couple
yeah.
other places.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, the Russia stuff got just pushed a year, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not really optimistic about it. Kind of during this pandemic, I realized I just want to stay home. but
Yeah.
but then again, 2 weeks into a tour, yeah, I mean, I just want to be there.
Exactly. No, and I'm sure, getting that contact with everybody and having that, um, you know, conversation. So, I gotta ask, man, what were some of your inspirations of like American bands that kind of made you decide, hey, I want to go in that direction for your guys,
uh,
sound wise?
um, kind of from I don't really know. In the beginning, like what really grabbed me was Slipknot, of course. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think it was like 5 or 6 when I watched
Wow.
the fucking Resident Evil movie, and they had that song in the
Oh,
credits.
yes. Left Behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was definitely life altering
Mm-hmm.
experience. But I don't know. I think around 2012, no, 10 probably, I got introduced to the Doom EP by Job for a Cowboy, and that
Mm.
kind of started hearing those stupid pig squeals and these kind of extreme drumming. I was like, wow, okay, I want
What
to
is
do that
that?
shit.
Yeah. No, I definitely, I think Job for a Cowboy ruined a lot of things for a lot of people, because I remember right around that time, metalcore was the thing. I want to say like
Yeah,
what, 2000 for us, that was like 2005, 2006, where metalcore was like really huge here.
yeah,
And then Job for a Cowboy came, and it got so big that even they were just like,
yeah,
nah, fuck this. We don't want to do this anymore. And then it was just like a bunch of different clones, if you consider. And
yeah,
speaking of which, I remember the first time I saw Suicide Silence, and I
yeah,
say this because some people don't. Some people won't be able to see you. This is an audio show.
yeah.
But Stefan, you kind of look a little like Mitch from Suicide Silence. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that before.
You're not the fucking first one to say that.
uh, I thought that's the first thing I thought. I was just like, once again, investigative research on my part, just trying
Yeah.
to get to know you through Instagram and different things. I was just like, good God, he looks like Mitch. I'm just saying, man, slap you on a stage. And if you were like, I don't know how tall you are, but are you at least taller than 6 foot?
No, I don't think so.
Because I was about to say, you could pass for a really solid Mitch Luke. Like, it would just be kind of scary. You know what I'm saying?
My guitar player is never gonna let this go now.
Oh man. So let's talk a little bit about the formation of Devine Defilement. As I know you guys have gone through, is it 2 vocalists, it seems?
Yeah.
Okay. So talk about how it got started. Who were the founding members? What really kicked off Devine Defilement? Because I know you guys have been around for about 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's about right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the formation was just like any other stupid project you would think of. We kind of, I met my guitar player, the Hoff, or Outney, the big guy. I met him at a show, and he was playing with his band. They were quite awful, and I was in a quite awful band as well. And I got really drunk. He was completely sober. This almost never happens. That I just start talking like, yeah, I really like your riffs and I want to play fast and heavy. And he was like, yeah, sounds great. Kind of, I thought he blew me off, but
Yeah.
then when I woke up totally hungover the next day, I got 2 demos in my inbox and I was like, oh shit, I got to do something now. So that's kind of how we started. And the core of the band has always been me and Snorri, the other guitar player, but he was on bass for a while. And then, of course, all the vocalist, shit happened. I mean, but right now we're just a solid lineup and we all work very well together. So
yeah. And that's interesting because
yeah,
that's interesting because here in America, we don't have those problems when it comes to vocalists because everyone's a fucking vocalist or everyone's a guitar player. It's finding a drummer that's the hardest fucking thing in the world. Nailing down a drummer is like trying to find, McDonald's in Iceland. It just doesn't. It's not happening. It's not happening.
you can't get any Mickey D's here, man.
Exactly. Yeah. That is something like my research. I read that. I'm no offense. You guys aren't missing much.
No, I know. We got KFC. I mean, that's good enough for me, and Taco Bell. But I mean, I rather just cook at home.
Exactly. Which is, I mean, that's cool too, but, and I'm sure McDonald's is mad about that. But anyways,
yeah.
So, another thing too that I would really like to talk about, because I think you guys have a healthy combination of multiple different heavy styles. You guys have your groovy slam, you have your slam, you got your black metal influences, definitely got your deathcore influences. You hear a little bit of everything. So what would be the best way to describe Devine Defilement to someone who's never heard them before?
Oh shit, they're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't really know, man. You kind of covered it. I mean, there's a little bit of everything in it, but I would say it's more like kind of deathcore slam. We got most of that, but we sure do bring a little bit of black metal. I mean, you can't really find any skank beats in our shit, so you can't really, call us thrash influenced at all. But I mean, there's a little bit of everything for everyone, I think.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to hear something that you can really get into what their abilities are, Primitive Gospel is just a great example of what you guys can do. If you listen to it from the first song to the last song, you're going to get a little bit of everything. And the last song, I think, has a good combination of everything you heard before executed on a high level. So like I said, if anybody who's looking for something that just is heavy, gets really groovy, gets really nasty, gets really just dark and heavy, Primitive Gospel is definitely, I think, great. And it's not to sleep on your first album, which came out in 2019. But I think Primitive Gospel kind of builds upon what you guys established in that first record, and I think it just fine tunes it. You guys went from being a well-made car to a Ferrari in 2 different efforts, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like it wasn't as much pressure. We had like 9 tracks on the first album. I honestly think there were maybe 3 good songs on it. But I mean, for the Primitive Gospel, we just cut it down to 4 tracks, and we really put all our focus and mind on those 4 tracks to make them, seem really. I mean, the EP is also built up that way that it always bridges up. Each song takes something from the next. So,
and Pus Covered is a great follow up to that. I think it's a continuation of Primitive Gospel. It's kind of like, it would almost be like a B-side, if you will. But it still provides that. It's slammy, it's groovy. It's just, everything you want in your heavy sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. So before we get out of here, man, and I appreciate you coming on, man. This means a lot to me going international, brother. Like I said before, me and him just started having a conversation. He hit me up, let me know he was a listener to the show. I appreciate that of you for listening to the show all the way out there. It means a lot to me, man. It kind of touched me that somebody from another place that, you know, we may not have the same background, but we have a love for music and it brought us together and through conversations and stuff like that. But before we get out of here, man, what's something you want people to know or be prepared for in the coming future for Devine Defilement?
Well, I can't say a lot of shows, but definitely a lot of new songs, man. We got a lot of things on the back burner.
Hell yeah, man. So before we get out of here, man, let's plug these social medias, man. And if I forget one, just plug it with me, man. So first off, you can find them on Facebook at Devine Defilement. You can find them at Instagram, Devine_Defilement. And then you can also find them at divinedefilement.bandcamp.com. And I believe you have a Teespring merch shop as well, too.
Yes, I don't remember the name of it, but you can find it on our Instagram.
Awesome, man. And make sure you check these guys out, man. Stefan, once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
No, for real.